everybody, it's me, Liberty Whispers. It feels like forever since I did one of these, and it probably is. But it's really nice to actually be making a video for this channel. I kind of have missed it a little bit. One of the reasons, the main reason really that I've been away for so long, is, as some of you may know, I've been travelling. I saved a bunch of money and then left my job and then just went off adventuring. I went over to the US. I did plan originally to go to Japan as well, but unfortunately that didn't happen due to money. It's always down to money. But I did spend a significant part of my summer travelling from one coast in the US to the other. I started off in New York and ended up in California. And I absolutely adored it, loved it, even the moments which were hard, which there were a few, because when you're travelling by yourself and you are dealing with social anxiety and awkwardness, and that's one of the reasons I took the trip in the first place, was to sort of combat that and, you know, get over that a bit. And it kind of worked. It's still there a bit, but, you know, travelling off into the unknown by yourself will definitely kind of make you realise that you have to face things head first. And I love the whole experience for that, but I love the experience for all the things I got to see and do, and yeah, it was an amazing time. But rather than tell you all about it here, I decided what I'm going to do is I put together for my other YouTube channel a short film, which compromises mainly of video footage, and there's some photographs in there too. But what I thought I would do is put it up on here as well. However, I thought I'd take the music out and I would do like a commentary track underneath, like talking to you about the things that you see and giving you sort of an inside scoop, and just kind of rambling on about the places I've seen and stuff that I did. I'm going to do it as well, by the way. This is sort of a precursor for anybody who doesn't particularly like eating sounds, but I am trying to multitask today. So I'm having my breakfast, which, although does not look appetizing from that angle, it really is. It is muesli with blueberries. Oh man, me, I've got hiccups. And cranberries, and it is just delightful. So good. So I'm going to be having that while I talk to you about my trip away. And yeah, so there we go. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so here we go. I started off in New York, in Bushwick, Brooklyn, to be precise. I had been to New York once before, about 8 years ago, and I loved it, but I stayed in Manhattan then. So I wanted to opt to stay in a different borough this time, and I think I picked a good one. Plenty to see, plenty to do, lots of interesting little things here and there. A little bit sketchy at times in the neighbourhood in Bushwick I was staying in, but I liked it an awful lot. A lot of great street art, which if you follow my Instagram at all, you'll have seen I just became slightly obsessed with. So this is Battery Park, and this was my first stop, really, on my first day, and I love Battery Park. Really beautiful, really scenic, super peaceful place. Great views right across the river as well. Around the area is Bowling Green, which you just saw the bull from. You'll see a little bit more of Bowling Green in a minute, but this is the Museum of the American Indian, which was one of my favourite sort of random discoveries. I came across it completely by accident and I loved it. So many amazing little exhibits and artifacts and art pieces and what have you. Really fascinating, really good discovery. Speaking of art, here, as you can tell by the sign, is the Moma Museum of Modern Art, which is somewhere I'd always wanted to go, and did not disappoint in the slightest. It is 6 floors of wall-to-wall exhibits and pieces, and with art being what art is, subjective by its very nature, there are some things in there I did not care for at all. Some things I just couldn't wrap my brain around, and some things I just didn't care for, but there was so much in there that I loved. I'm a big fan of abstract expressionism, or just anything abstract in general, so there was plenty to see in there. I spent like hours in there. They also had, as you can see, they had like an outside garden with some sculptures and water features, which was beautiful too. So this is a little sort of side excursion. I'm a huge fan of the podcast Telling Steve Dave, and so I had to make a little pilgrimage into Jersey, to Red Bank, to visit Jay and Silent Bob's secret stash, and it was awesome to just go there and just kind of soak in so much of the stuff that I'd listened to over the years. This was one of my favourite things of all time in my life. I went to my very first outdoor movie screening. It was for Attack the Block, which granted is a decent movie. It's not the best movie ever, but the experience was so worth it, because it was by the Brooklyn Bridge in Brooklyn Bridge Park, and you got to see the sunset, and it was just, oh, so gorgeous. This here is, as you can probably tell, Coney Island. I'm not a rides person, so I didn't go on Wonder Wheel, or I didn't go on any of the roller coasters or other rides, but just going into that area and soaking up the atmosphere was so much fun. Such a fun place. This here is Prospect Park, and again, this is so peaceful and so serene and so beautiful. Another one of my favourite spots. It was just such a wonderful, lazy Saturday afternoon. Again, more street art, and then the subway, and that's essentially New York. I did so much more, but because I didn't want to just fill the whole short film with one spot, I had to limit stuff. Here we are in Little Havana in Miami. I really like Miami, except the problem with Miami is I found there wasn't an awful lot to do, but it was a beautiful place to visit, and it had such scenic spots, such amazing artwork, such steeped cultural heritage, especially in Little Havana, which I adored staying in. Such a vibrant place, so friendly too. A guy stopped me in the street and said, "Welcome to Little Havana, hope you enjoy your time here," which I thought was such a nice thing to do. It is a beautiful place. I mean, I only got to see like a sliver of Florida, but the sliver that I saw was absolutely gorgeous, just breathtaking, just beautiful. It's so hot as well, which is kind of a curse for someone who's used to cold English weather, but at the same time it was awesome. There's a little domino square in which people go to play dominoes, obviously, and that is a virgin strawberry daiquiri, which might be the nicest drink in the world ever, even if it is just condensed flavoured sugar. I don't care, it's so nice. This is out on 6th Street in Miami, in a place, I think it was called Mango's Mamba Bar? I can't remember. Really fun place. Super expensive though, $15 for a single margarita, which is ridiculous, but yeah, it was an experience. This is actually on the beach in South Beach, which is a rarity because I don't usually do beaches. I'm not a beach person. And that's a little rubber ducky that I got out of a claw vending machine. Everywhere I went, I collected little trinkets and bits and pieces. As you saw, I got a Nightwing figure and a Joker figure, like a final Funko Pop thing from New Jersey, and I got the little ducky from Miami. And here we are in New Orleans in the aquarium, which just had so many amazing things in it, so many amazing creatures, so many different fish, and as you saw there, a shark and a turtle and some of these sea things and jellyfish. I don't know what those colourful sea things are, but they were nice and they were cool. New Orleans is one of my favourite places in the world now, because I love the architecture. Like you can see here, I just love the shape of the buildings, the style, the shutters, the balconies, just everything about the architecture, especially in the French Quarter, which I know is like touristy central, but I could care less. Just absolutely gorgeous. And the city itself is so vibrant and so full of character. This is the French market, where there is just so much to see and buy. I actually bought a documentary from a filmmaker I met in the French market about hobos and train hopping. It's called Cure for the Crash, and I totally recommend you check it out if you can. This is down by the backwater. I came across this section by accident again. I was walking home at night and I found all these little places like Elizabeth's, the diner there, which is really good, really tasty food. And then you found this place called Dr. Bob's, and he does a lot of local, I say he, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but they do a lot of local art, and you would see a lot of their work in establishments like Elizabeth's. This is the New Orleans cemeteries, which I know some of you may think is a bit of a weird thing to see, but because they're all above ground, and because some of the tombs are so old, it was just a kind of must-do. That picture there, that last one, apparently is one of the most haunted houses in the US. I found that out because I took a ghost tour, which was really fascinating, and actually kind of ASMR-y, in the sense that you kind of got just goosebumps from someone telling you stories. Kind of catching up quickly because I'm rambling. So that was Satchmo Jazz Fest, which was awesome. $5 for a whole day's entry, and just so good. Food, music, exhibits inside, so worth $5. And then of course that was oh god, I've forgotten the name of the street now. Bourbon Street, that's it. I was thinking of 6th Street, but that's in Austin where we're at now, which you'll probably see a glimpse of 6th Street in a minute, or I think you just have. So this is oh god, what is the shop called? I've forgotten. I've completely forgotten what the shop's called, and I think it's just shown the sign as well. But it was full of assorted objects, loads of bizarre things, just an emporium of odd objects, found things. Austin, like New Orleans, although more so, because I just utterly fell in love with Austin. Austin's a place where I can totally envision myself living. Again, so friendly, so vibrant, so just full of character, so interesting. This here is the Museum of the Weird, because as you may know, Austin's sort of motto is keep Austin weird, and this museum is dedicated to exactly that, sort of full of cryptozoology stuff, and a man who can, absorb electricity, apparently, full of fascinating and bizarre and macabre and odd and obscure things. Alamo Draft House, of course. Had to go to the Draft House. Barn Springs, absolutely gorgeous, as you'll see. Just a huge swimming pool, huge watering hole. That was so fun. So nice. And the water in there is lovely as well, even if the surface is super slippy. I went in with the intentions of just going in like waist deep, but that soon changed when I kind of slipped and fell straight in. But I went in a watering hole and all that jazz. Speaking of jazz, it was a little bar called Sea Boys, and it was nearby where I was staying. I stayed in Airbnb places, by the way, for those interested, and I would totally recommend it if you're travelling. So cheap, so fun, so interesting actually getting to stay in people's houses and neighbourhoods. And it's not daunting at all. Everyone I met in the Airbnbs were lovely, and I got so much local knowledge from them too. But that was Sea Boys, and then the Continental Club, which is kind of famous in Austin. I went there for numerous reasons. One, because it's like notorious for its live music, and two, because there's a scene in the Richard Linklater film Slacker filmed in there, so I had to go. And it was great. Got to see two bands. One was okay, and the other was really good. So this here is a little oddity. It is a wonderful little oddity. It is called the Cathedral of Junk, and you can probably see why just looking at it. It's started off as a art sculpture that a man started making in 1989, and ever since then it's just expanded upon and just keeps adding to it. It is immense. Like, it looks immense watching the video, but it's one of those things that you have to see in person to truly believe, because there's so many things. I wrote that, by the way. People had written a bunch of stuff in like Sharpie and whatnot on the top level of it, because there's two layers to it. he's constructed a 2-level little construction, and people had written little messages, so I thought I'd add one. That is the Capitol building, and it is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous piece of architecture, and it is so nice to just kind of walk around and sit amongst. But yeah, if you're in Austin ever, go check out the Cathedral of Junk. It's amazing. If you're into odd, obscure things. Again, just more street art. In fact, coming up, and I think it's coming up in just a second, there it is, right on time, the Hope Open Gallery, or the Hope Outdoor Gallery. And it is just this mass area of street art. It's kind of, I guess, the equivalent would be what 5 Points was to New York, but in Austin, but not quite as big as 5 Points, but still amazing. Still just wonderful to look around and see. Yeah, I generally loved, I mean, of all the places I went, Austin's the place that stood out most. That's a gratuitous shot of me. I don't know why that's in there, but yeah, it was beautiful. Really friendly people, really lively, vibrant atmosphere, and it was just a place I felt at home. This is the last end of my trip. This is in San Francisco, as you can tell by the cloudy, foggy weather and the bridge. This is a little museum, which, as you can see, is all dedicated to old-timey machineries and arcade cabinets and stuff, like penny machines and what have you, peep shows, like there you go, and just little amusements. And it was full of them. It like had a bunch of old arcade games as well. And again, such a beautiful city. Very different in terms of lay of the land. Like, the structure of it is really interesting. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend that much time in San Francisco, but it is somewhere that I am definitely going to go again, because it was such a fascinating place, and I feel it has so much to offer. Of course, being in San Francisco, I wanted to get a closer look at the Golden Gate Bridge, which you saw before, but I also wanted to get a closer look at Alcatraz. I wanted to actually do a tour of Alcatraz, but I didn't get a chance to, but I did get pretty close to it. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I certainly did. So many memories formed, and such a good time.